Great to see everybody today. Out of respect to the speaker, please take a moment to silence your phones. I'm going to invite Nicholas up, and Nicholas is going to give us our invocation.
Let us pray. O Lord, this is a day that you have made. We rejoice and are glad in it. We thank you for all its gifts, for opportunities to serve and work, to use the creative powers you've given us for the betterment of the world that you've entrusted to our care. We pray for the world whose needs you know better than ours, for peace and mercy, for justice and mutual regard to increase. And we pray your blessing upon this meal and this meeting, that all the gifts that you've showered upon us might be used for the good of our neighbors and to your glory. I ask all this in the name of Jesus as we pray in all our own traditions. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Nicholas. Now we're going to have Rusty and Brian. Of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you. And I'm going to invite Grace up to do our introduction of visiting Rotarians.
This morning we were visiting Rotarian Michael Suntag with the Sumter Chamber. I don't think we had anyone else, did we?
Take the mic off.
Is the mic on?
Here we go.
Was there any other visiting Rotarians?
You didn't know you were going to be on television, did you? Start making little.
Thank you. I'm happy to introduce some more Continental College affiliated folks. Dr. Sontag, of course, was just introduced as a visiting Rotarian. Leah Kasoski. Victoria Hollins.
That's it? Okay, thank you. Now we have a really special day today. We've got Chip Jordan, Chip and Russ would come up here. Chip's joining the club today. We're real excited about that. And I've asked Jonathan Dunko, past president, to be inducted.
I thought you were done with me, didn't you? Little did you know.
It is my honor today to induct the new members. Super excited. So Chip and I actually went all the way through elementary school together, through high school. So that's really been a neat little turnaround. And I'd like to introduce him a little bit to you here. So Gordon Chip Jordan graduated from Lexington High School and shortly after enlisted in the active duty military service of the United States Army. Chip served in the infantry and had multiple combat deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. He was also stationed in Japan, Hawaii, and Savannah, Georgia. In 2014, Chip moved from active duty to the National Guard and is set to retire as a Sergeant First Class on October 30th. During his time in the National Guard, Chip earned a business degree from the University of South Carolina. He also started a career in property management, and which is what my wife did, which is another cool connection. We got to see each other and stuff. For asset living as a leasing consultant, and worked his way all the way up to regional manager. And Chip is now the executive director of the Philly House, an independent senior living community serving the low-income community. And Chip mentioned his new role being mission-driven and really exciting. The ability to focus on people instead of profit. And I think that was
Whatever you think.
Chip was married on May 3rd of last year to Emily, who was a PA at Lexington Medical Center, sports medicine. He and Emily live at 630 Naples Avenue in Casey, South Carolina. And in his spare time, Chip enjoys racing autocross. I had to ask what it was. If you don't know what it is, I want to encourage you to come up to Chip and find out too. It's pretty awesome. He just returned from a European trip where he was a chaperone, air quotes, for his cousin and a few of his friends that had just graduated high school. So, Chip, you've been chosen for membership into the Rotary Club of Columbia. That's because members of the club believe that you're a leader in your vocation and because you possess the qualities of head and heart for imparting the message of Rotary to those you come in contact with. Rotary is an international membership organization of business and professional leaders. There are 1.2 million members in more than 35,000 Rotary clubs in over 200 countries around the world. You are truly joining a global organization. In electing you to membership, we are doing more than just taking you into our fellowship. We are making you a trustee with us in Rotary ideals. Knowing that you are to be a Rotarian, the world will, going forth from this day, judge Rotary by your conduct. In that knowledge, we charge you to conduct yourself in accordance with the Rotary four-way test of the things you think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill or better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Chip, the four-way test is so important to this club that each week we rise and recite it together as a reminder that we should live our lives every day according to it in everything we do. You would do well to become familiar with the four-way test. The honor and privilege of Rotary membership carry with it duties and obligations. You will be expected to attend the club's meetings and functions regularly, perform your share of the club's community service activities, and pledge your time and talent to the club in carrying out the principles of Rotary into the daily life of our community. You will also be expected to take an active role in recruiting new members for the club, as well as consider becoming a leader by serving on a committee, becoming a committee chair, serving on the board, accepting the honor of becoming an officer in the club, including president nominee, president-elect, and eventually president of the club. I can tell you from personal experience, it's been an honor to serve as the president of this club, and every member should aspire to it. So now I'm going to ask Russ, if you would, to affix your Rotary International pin to your lapel. We encourage you to wear your pin daily and with pride, but especially at all club functions. In our guests, if you would please stand with me for just a second. And I'm going to ask a pledge of you as well. So, members of the Columbia Rotary Club, do you pledge to support Chip as a new member of our club? And will you make a commitment to warmly welcome him and get him actively involved in club activities? If so, please indicate by saying we will. We will. Rotarian Chip Jordan, in the name of Columbia Rotary Club, we now formally admit you to membership in this club. And fellow Rotarians, I present to you your newest member, Chip Jordan.
Zach, we'll do that
for you too, okay? They didn't do that before. That's a new.
Got to milk it already, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine. Whatever. I'm in no hurry. Hopefully I can make a soft impact.
Oh, yeah. Just be here and get to know everybody. That's that first assignment.
I'll tell you, wearing this pen though, I've gotten some recognition. I went to Columbia Chamber events and I'm like, oh, you're from Littlefoot. Yeah, yeah. Like, come on, let me show you. You know?
In recent years, fewer people carry coins with them. That has meant fewer donation of coins and paper money in the blue buckets. Well, coins, or hundreds, or whatever. There is, however, a new way for you to donate without having coins or paper money. The Cart Fund has created the Roger Ackerman Circle that makes it easy for you to contribute online. To join, create an account at mycartfund.org. Select to donate and choose recurring payment. Donors must commit to a minimum of $5 a month or $60 a year, which seems very doable. So make that account mycartfund.org. Members will be given limited additional help. That's awesome. In the meantime, don't forget the blue buckets on your table. We're so happy to receive coins and paper money and checks. That's mine, blue buckets. So, health and happiness. I did not know what I was going to say, but I'll start with our health and happiness from our members. Susan Elkins is receiving the Order of the Palmetto Award. Also, Melinda has a new grandbaby. It's a little boy. His name is Caden Everett. He was born last Tuesday. Everyone's doing well. And I saw a picture, so cute. So, congratulations, Melinda. So I decided I would talk about something that I mean that I respect told me one time. He said crazy. Pay attention to this because it helped me out a lot. So just remember this. Figured I could was the really point. So he drew a circle and he wrote, these are the things that you can control. And in the middle circle, your thoughts, your actions, your reactions, your self-care, your effort and attitude, communications, your willingness to seek help, your priorities. Those are all things that you can control. Then he drew another circle and he said, these are things you have some control over. Your finances, your words, interstate traffic, your goals and dreams, your health, the environment, your career, your relationships with others. There's a lot more in that second circle. Then he drew a giant circle around that, and he said, this is everything you have absolutely no control over. Some of the things he said were other people's actions, thoughts, and feelings. I feel like that's important because you cannot control other people's thoughts, feelings, and actions. You just can't. Don't try. It's a waste of time. You can't control the past, the future, the passage of time, the weather, natural disasters, other people's behaviors, or anything else in the world. So when he told me that, it really put it in perspective. He said you need to worry about the things you can control first in order to have any influence over anything in the outside circles. So for health and happiness, self-awareness is very important, because if you're not self-aware, how are you really being healthy and happy? You might be delusional, but don't forget the circles around you, what you can control, what you have some control over, and things that you don't need to stress about because you have no control over them. And have a good day.
Thank you, George. Appreciate that. I'm gonna ask Dr. Suzanne Elkins to come to speak, please. words to say. Thank you, Susan. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and honored guests. It is a distinct privilege today to recognize a remarkable leader whose work has profoundly impacted education and opportunity across South Carolina. Dr. Susan Elkins, the inaugural Chancellor of the University of South Carolina Palmetto College. Dr. Elkins has dedicated her career to expanding access to higher education, and her legacy is one that resonates deeply with the Rotary spirit of service above self. Since 2013, she has led USC Palmetto College with vision, compassion, and an unwavering commitment to students, especially those from rural communities, working adults, first-generation students. Under her leadership, Palmetto College has grown into a dynamic component of the University of South Carolina with nearly 40 online degree completion programs and 4 physical campuses across the state with locations in Lancaster, Indianland, Allendale, Walterboro, Salkehatchie, Sumter, and Union, and Lawrence that now serve thousands of students across the state. Through innovative online degree programs and strategic partnerships with the 4-year USC campuses, Dr. Elkins has helped remove barriers to education, allowing students to earn their degrees close to home while balancing work, family, and service commitments. Her work has touched lives in every corner of South Carolina, from military service members at Fort Jackson and Shaw Air Force Base, to nurses advancing their careers to lifelong learners returning to the classroom after decades away. These stories are not just statistics, they are testaments to Dr. Elkins' belief that education should be accessible to all. As Rotarians, we value leadership that builds community, fosters opportunity, and uplifts others. Dr. Elkins embodies these values, and her participation in the life of Rotary in this club and in her previous club demonstrates her deep dedication. In our club, she currently coordinates greeters and serves on the scholarship committee. She has previously served 1 term on the club board and as a greeter and bell ringer. She served on the Centennial Celebration Committee and chaired the decorating group for the 100th anniversary dinner. She is a 5-time Paul Harris Fellow. At her previous club, the Rotary Club of Cookeville, Tennessee, in District 6780, she was past secretary, president, and Rotarian of the Year. She was Rotary Club of Cookeville, Tennessee, District 6780, Assistant District Governor, Interact Chair, and District Governor-elect just before moving to Columbia in 2013 to serve as Palmetto College Chancellor. Dr. Elkins, on behalf of the Columbia Rotary Club, we thank you and honor you for your service, your vision, and your enduring commitment to the people of South Carolina. We wish you joy, fulfillment, and a well-deserved change of pace in the next chapter of your journey. Your decision to step away from the role of Chancellor marks the close of a chapter filled with achievement, but your legacy will continue to shape the lives for generations to come. I would like to share that later this afternoon, the South Carolina Governor, Henry Masker, will present the Order of the Palmetto, the state's highest civilian honor, to Dr. Elkins and the South Carolina State House. Congratulations to our fellow Rotarian and dear friend on many and very professional accomplishments. Thank you.
Certainly be remiss if I didn't express my deepest gratitude to members of this club, President David, such an outstanding leader, and it's just a deep privilege to be a part of the Rotary Club of Columbia and to have been a Rotarian for over 25 years. There is nothing better than service above self. I've been extremely fortunate to have my career and Rotary go hand in hand in 2 different locations. And I'm most appreciative of the Palmetto College family that you met earlier as guests. We have 4 of them with us. They're the backbone of Palmetto College, and they exemplify service above self every day. Thrilled to have my husband with me today, and their son is watching online in full Palmetto College spirit. from his home in Naples, Florida, Dr. Andy Elkins. So Andy, thank you. And Andy Shane, it's great that you're sitting up here representing USC, because I've always said my job allows me to do Rotary. So please extend my deepest thanks to President Emeritus, and I'll see him later this afternoon. So grateful for the chance to serve USC, Palmetto College, all the communities that were mentioned, and the entire state of South Carolina, to provide access to affordable, flexible, high-quality USC degrees to all South Carolinians. That's why we've done what we've done from day one in Palmetto College. And I will close by saying there's nothing better than to be able to look out across the room and just right in my line of sight to see a Palmetto College graduate as a result of the presentation I did for Rotary explaining Palmetto College. Our very own Brian Pearson hopped in Palmetto College, finished his bachelor's degree, and is now moving on to a master's degree. So Brian, thank you for representing those who choose. And I know we have a great program coming up from our new South Carolina softball coach, and a great year coming up with President David and all the leadership of our wonderful Rotary family. I do hate that I can't be with you. Many of you know that my mother had a stroke last year, and so my service is upset for this year and well in the future. I think will be serving my family, helping to take care of her back in Tennessee. So rest assured, I'll be watching online. I'm already 5. I'm trying to work for Rotary remotely, just like we do in Palmetto College. So thank you very much.
There you go.
And now I'm gonna invite Andy Shane to come up and do our introduction first.
Boy, I have to come after that. That was very sweet. Dr. Elkins, congratulations, and obviously, good luck this afternoon in the governor's office. I want you to imagine something for a second. You get a new job, and your colleagues around you say you're going to be the worst. You're going to run the worst organization around here for the next season. That's what our speaker had to put up with when she arrived here at South Carolina as the 11th head softball coach. Ashley Chastain Woodard came here with the expectations that the program was not going to really do well. So what happened? 20 straight wins to start the season. This is the coach at South Carolina, the first-year coach with the most programs, the most wins, first-year. Let's start over again. With the most wins in her first season in program history. She led the team to a postseason berth that includes being a national number 8 seed, winning the Columbia Regional, hosting a super regional for the first time in school history, and coming within 1 win of reaching the College World Series. And I'm sorry for the PTSD from that. And when you watch that game, you'll remember how it was. And for her efforts, she was named the D1 Softball Coach of the Year nationally. The Gamecocks also finished with the highest GPA of any Power 4 program in the country. So that's pretty good as well. Ashley returned to South Carolina, where she was a 3-year pitcher for the Gamecocks, where she was the coach of the Charlotte 49ers, where she led that program to 2 postseason berths, the program's first conference, regular season, and tournament championships, and its first ever national ranking. She was the pitching coach at College of Charleston, Michigan State. I've got to figure out how cold it is in East Lansing compared to the other places she's been, and as well as Ole Miss, where she was named Softball America's pitching coach of the year. She's earned 2 degrees from USC, a bachelor's degree in history, and a master's degree in secondary education. And she is married to Robert Woodard, who is the head baseball coach at Charlotte. May I present to you Ashley Chastain Woodard.
Wow, that was awesome, Andy. I should hire you to come introduce me to all the things. Thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful to be here. Just thank you to Andy and the Rotary Club for having me speak today. I think Andy reached out right around the the time our season ended, so I was definitely in a different emotional state than I am today. But I told him, I said, I've got 2 months of like intense recruiting, which we'll get into here this afternoon. But I can come and visit with you guys in August. So I'm back on campus. We start school, obviously, as you guys probably know, next week. So, but thank you so much for having me. Congratulations to Dr. Elkins on what an honor. Just in a few moments here, what an inspiration you are to everyone here and all the people that you've touched. And Grace, are your earrings, do they say Gamecocks? Okay. I was admiring them here from the side. I'm always looking for new recruiting decor and attire, so I'm gonna have to figure out where you got this. So.
She makes them.
Oh, you make them, okay, I need some of those. But yes, I just want to take you through really our year and kind of reverse back to 12 months ago, because I was in a very different place 12 months ago than obviously I am today. But you gave a wonderful background about me. You know, as most coaches, you kind of move around a lot before you kind of land somewhere in your career. That's kind of how our profession works. And so I had the absolute blessing of working for amazing people at many different places in my career. And I went to school here. I graduated with a history degree in 2011. I was in the College of Arts and Sciences, which was very unpopular amongst athletes. I actually was at an alumni association event last fall, and I was giving a little preview about the team at that time, and the dean of the Arts and Science School was in the audience, and he gave me a big hoop and holler, because there's not very many of us arts and science athletes. So that was me. The original plan was to be a high school history teacher, and that was kind of where my heart was. I was planning on being a high school history teacher, probably coaching the high school softball team. And so I stayed on in 2012 and got my secondary education master's degree, did the acceleration year program, worked with the team. I actually got an opportunity to play overseas for a couple seasons, so I went overseas and continued to play for a couple years, and then got the opportunity to come back and be a pitching coach at the College of Charleston. And then the rest is history. Here we are today in 2025. But yeah, it was never really in my plan to be a college softball coach, and then in 2013, I really think the Lord just said, this is your path, and it never left me. So, but 12 months ago, I was gifted the opportunity to live my professional dream. I cry about it every time I talk about it. Being here means the world to me, and leading this program has blessed my life. And you know, Ray Tanner is not in the room right now. Many of you probably know Coach Tanner very well, or have been in events with him, as he's been the face of our department for a long time. But when I was a student athlete here, he was winning national championships in baseball before he was our AD, and he hired me last summer to lead this program. And as Andy spoke about, I don't think there was too many expectations in the outside world of our success this past season. But when Coach Tanner and I met last summer and we were talking about the program, those expectations were very different internally. You know, and something that I really try to do is protect my team from the outside world. So we really try to make sure that we control the narrative and our thought process and our mindset within our four walls of Beckham Field, which is just right over here on the railroad tracks. But we try to make sure that whatever our mindset is, our expectation is not really influenced by the outside narrative of what the media or everybody else has an opinion of who we are. And so last summer, if you guys can't hear me in the back, just give me a little wave. I have a ball coach voice, but you know, I don't want to shout too loud. But so last summer, you know, I took over the team. We had high expectations of success from the first day that we got together, and we had 9 players that returned from the roster when I took it over. And so in a world of a softball roster, it's not very many. So we started with a pretty small roster. My first, I think, order was to hire staff and make sure that I had people around me that I could trust, that were really loyal to me, that were really high level. Our game is growing tremendously, and it's very high level. So I needed people around me, coaches around me, that could really develop the team in a way that we could compete in the SEC, which is the best conference in the country, especially for softball. Every weekend is a top 15 matchup if you know anything about SEC softball. So I was fortunate enough to bring my whole staff from Charlotte with me, and you know, those are people that I could trust, very loyal. I had coached with a long time. Our recruiting coordinator, Jody Davidson, and I have coached together almost 10 years now. And so, when you're able and you're gifted with being able to bring people with you, it just makes the transition so much better. And then our associate head coach is actually Katie Browder. And Katie is somebody that, a dear friend of mine, I've coached together with her before at previous places. And she actually has deep, deep Carolina roots. Her dad is Ty Rekovich. He played football here. He was on the 1982 team. He shared a locker next to George Rogers. That's his claim to fame. So Katie Rekovich, at the time, she grew up in Williams-Brice. I mean, she grew up in Gamecock. Her sister cheered here. Her sister still works for Shane Beamer in our football program. So Katie had deep Carolina ties. This was coming back home for her as well as for me. So I knew Katie was the right person to kind of sit next to my right side, and then Jody was the right coach to sit next to my left side. And so I knew I had the staff correct and in line, and then we went to work on the roster. And we brought players from Charlotte with me that I knew could play at this level, but no one else believed me. But I knew that they could play at this level. We had won a lot together. We had won many championships together. And so we went to work getting them committed. We brought players from other schools that had other experiences. We brought Quincy Lelio in from Oklahoma. And if you're a college softball fan, you know that Oklahoma softball is kind of the standard of our sport right now. They won 4 national championships back to back to back to back. And so we brought Q in. She was transferring in from Oklahoma and obviously was a stellar player for us if you guys followed our season. So we brought transfers from other places. We got the staff intact, and then we started school. And I think something that was really important for me at the beginning of Team 1 last fall was to make sure that we created a cohesive feel, that we kind of got rid of all the identities that we had previously come from. So, we had the Charlotte girls. I'm sure you guys all read the articles. And if you're not a Gamecocks fan, if I have any Orange fans in the room, maybe we can convert you over to a Gamecock softball fan. But we created a unit, a cohesive unit where we were all working towards the same thing. And some of the things that we talked about was just our mindset day to day. I know we spoke just a second ago about one of the core values of this community is, I think, service over self. Is that correct? And that's something that we actually talk a lot about in our program, so it's kind of really nice to hear that just overlap with, hey, it's all about the team. Like, it is all about the team. It is never about one individual. I don't care who the star player is, it's always going to be about the program. And we just rooted ourselves in that, and we're going to continue to root ourselves in it. That what we do is about representing Gamecock softball. It's about representing USC. It's about representing everybody that is a part of the Garnet and Black community. And so we started that journey together. We spent a lot of time together. Those of you that don't know really how our structure works, we are in the off season in fall. It's really never an off season. It is just what segment of the year are we in. But we're in the non-competition season in the fall, so we get an opportunity to play some fall exhibition games. They don't count towards our record in the spring, but we have the opportunity to play in the fall together. We get a 45-day window to practice all together as a team. And so that usually starts mid-September for us, and it goes to around Halloween time. We can kind of set that, but that's usually the time frame that we get in on the field every day together. So we scrimmaged a lot, we played a lot of games, we practiced a lot, and while we were getting better at softball, game strategy, the way that we looked at the game, how we were going to play the game, and creating that together, we just really worked on building connections and relationships with each other off the field, in team settings where we weren't necessarily trained, right? So we had to learn how to trust each other, how to love each other. We spent a ton of time together, and sometimes everyone doesn't always get along with each other, but how are we going to work through those things? The accountability that is required to play softball at the level that we wanted to play it at. So all of that, I think, we built in the fall. So I personally, from my seat, I think that a lot of our success that we ended up having in the spring was really built in the fall. And so kind of take the mindset, I got this from Sue Inquist, who's one of the best coaches ever coached our game. Unfortunately, she coached at UCLA for a long time. But she told me about 10 years ago, she said, championship mindset, championship behavior is not just a flood at the end of the season when you're trying to make a postseason run, right? Championship behavior is a slow drip every day. It's what you do, it's the decisions that you make, it's how you wake up in the morning, it's how you go to class, it's how you practice on a Tuesday in September, versus how you're gonna play the game late May when we're making a run in postseason to host a regional, possibly a super. So we knew that we needed to make sure that we established that foundation in the fall, that slow championship drip every day. This is how we're gonna be, this is what people are gonna know us as. And we're pretty big on manifestations. I feel like we manifested it. We talked about winning a lot, and I think that was a part for me that the program really needed. And to bring in players that had won other places, a three-time national champion, girls that played for me at Charlotte who had won multiple conference championships, and then a group of girls that had not won and had not really experienced what a winning behavior culture felt like every day. So, as we kind of gelled all of that together, we started walking around like winners, practicing like winners, making decisions like winners do. And then we got to the end of the fall, and as a staff, we looked around at each other and said, hey, we're a pretty good team. The expectations are high. The coaches poll came out in January, I think maybe, that Andy referred to, and yes, we were picked dead last in the league. That is a coaches poll, and I was not surprised. People asked me everywhere I went, they were so mad about it, as Gamecocks are loyal and true. They were mad. And I was like, I wasn't surprised. There wasn't a ton of expectation for our success within the SEC this past year. Then people asked, did you talk about that with the team? Did it drive you this? Did you have a chip on your shoulder all spring? And I said, well, we talked about it for about 30 seconds at practice in January. That's as much attention that we gave it. I think it was really important for me to address it with the team at practice because, they're on social all the time. We use social as a big outlet to support and promote our program. So I knew they had seen it. I thought it was important that they heard my voice on it. That, hey, doesn't matter. Who cares, right? It's not an indication of how the season is going to go for us. All it can do is knock down our confidence. All it can do is knock down the work that we've put in for the past 4 months, everything that we've created, connected. So don't pay attention to it. So that's about as much as conversation we had about it. We got season kicked off opening weekend here at home. Man, we were the cardiac kids for a little while. I think I aged 5 years in 1 year. In the dugouts, our team played really well early. We had a lot of comeback wins. That's where the cardiac part came in. I felt like we got to the 5th, 6th, and 7th, and then decided to play really well. We can play really well in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd. But yeah, we had a lot of comeback wins early in the season, and we won 20 straight games, which is the best start in program history. And honestly, it was the best start in Division I softball at the time last year. So you can imagine that it was the talk of the town. It was the story of college softball at the time. We started to get a lot of media attention, people flooding into the stadium, people wanting to know what we were doing and who we were. And so as a coach, obviously great, right? This is why I'm here. These are our expectations. I'm not surprised that we won 20 games because I knew that we were going to be good and everyone was just catching up to speed, right? I think at that point, the conversation changed with the team because all of a sudden they had all these eyes on them. And so sometimes when you play without expectation in a very free place, sometimes that's a little bit, I wouldn't say easier, but it's definitely different taking the field with that mindset versus, wow, all eyes are on you, now we have something to lose. I mean, we got to 3-0, and I could feel that they were like, are we ever going to lose? Is this going to be the game? And so definitely don't want them taking the field in that mindset. We really try to, when we dress up and we put on the uniform and we're either at home or we're away, wherever we are, the competition is intense, it's fun, it's very free. We don't want to be too tight when we take the field together. That's when we make a lot of mistakes. So we had several team meetings about, hey, and I told them, I said, we're going to lose. Elephant in the room, out the door, right? We are going to lose at some point, and it's gonna be okay. So we started SEC play at Oklahoma. That was my welcome to the SEC gift, I guess, last year. But we flew to Oklahoma and we played Patty Gasso's Sooners for a 3-game set in their new ballpark. And it was about 6,000 people there every game. It was sold out. There was people in the bushes everywhere. And we lost all 3 games by 1 run. Yeah, so those were our first 3 losses on the season. We lost all 3 games by a run. And so we had a lot at play, and as a coach, it's like you're constantly trying to navigate the team's emotions. People ask me really what my job is, and I'm like, obviously my job is, I run a business, essentially, you know, a multi-million-dollar business of running and operating this program that I'm so blessed to, but most of my job is managing our players' emotions. My staff is so good at the X's and O's of the game, and they are so in tune with strategy and all of those things, but my job is really the team. And so I remember every post-game talk at Oklahoma like it was yesterday, and the message changed a little bit day to day, and they were heartbroken. Their confidence definitely got a little lower on that weekend in Norman, and we had to talk through really what is it like to lose, because we hadn't lost yet together as a team. So we went 20-3, and really just kind of picking them up and saying, hey, like, we just started conference, it's a new chapter of our year, like, we're gonna be okay. We could have honestly won any 3 of those games in one pitch. It was that close and that intense. So we flew back home from Norman. We had, I think, Georgia at home this next weekend. We had played obviously really well at home the start of the year and won the series the next weekend. So learned a lot of lessons there in Oklahoma that I think really propelled us and served us well the rest of the season. We went to Duke for our bye weekend and swept Duke on the road. That was our first road series. And then the rest is history, really. I mean, we had a fantastic year. We finished right in the middle of conference. You know, we made a run there at the end, and we got to host a regional here. If you came to that, thank you so much. It was an incredible atmosphere. We sold out tickets in 8 minutes. And our stadium holds a few thousand people, and then we had a little standing room area. And next year, we're going to have more seats in the outfield. That's what happens when you sell out. So, you know, we had a great postseason. We had a couple players that had amazing seasons. Some definitely worth noting. I wish they were here with me, but they're not quite back for school yet. But Ari Rhodey, our first baseman, who was a previous All-American, ended up winning a Rawlings Gold Glove at first base. It's the first one in program history. And I almost brought it with me. It's a massive actual Gold Glove. It's in my office.
Cool.
It's really cool. If you ever want to come by and see it, you can touch it. It's awesome. She won a Gold Glove. We had multiple players on all SEC awards, and you know, we really figured out how to win, and we figured out that we belong. We belong in college softball. Our brand is just as good as anybody else's brand, and we earned a lot of respect nationally, I think, in our sport. And so we had a selection show party up at Carolina Ale House. It was a Learfield partner of ours. They hosted us, and we had a massive crowd. We found out that we were the 8th seed. So we hosted Super Regionals for the first time in program history. And we had 75 alumni come back. We have a really rich tradition history here at Carolina softball. So a lot of those people came back for our postseason run. We were very thankful for that. And had a heartbreaking loss against UCLA. We were an out-of-way to go to the College World Series on Saturday, lost the game, and then honestly just got beat on Sunday in Game 3. People have asked me over and over and over about that Saturday loss. Will I ever get over it? No, I will never get over it. But as in life, right, you learn how to cope and you move on and you build the next team, which is what my staff and I, we have worked so hard this summer at building the next team. Ironically enough, we returned 9 players from the roster last year, so it's a little bit of a repeat bill. We signed 4 freshmen. We have 4 true freshmen on the roster that will start class next Tuesday. And so then do the math, we were left with 13 players, and our roster with the new house settlements, which I'm sure I'll get questions about, actually got bigger. A lot of sports rosters got smaller, like baseball went from a over 40-man roster to a 34-man roster. Our roster got a little bigger. So we had 21 players on the roster this past year, 20 of which were active on the field. And we have 23 players on the roster this year, and then we're grandfathering to 25. So 25 is our roster limit. So if you follow us over the next couple seasons, we'll hit that 25 mark. We brought in 10 transfers this summer from a lot of different schools with a lot of different experiences. Some players that were ranked very high out of high school that don't have a lot of playing time at this point. Some people that have a lot of playing time and experience from another school. The transfer portal's been around for about, I think, 5 or so seasons. There's a lot of mixed feelings about the transfer portal. It's not going anywhere. So my staff and I, a couple years ago when we were working together at another institution, we just decided to embrace it and for it to be an avenue for us to get really great players into our program and give them the experience that they've always dreamed of. For softball, we have a pro league. It's not quite developed on the level that it probably needs to be. Maybe in 10 years we'll be having a different conversation. But SEC softball is the big leagues for us. And then, like, a lot of girls dream of playing softball in the SEC growing up through the recruiting youth age. And so I told the staff, I was like, you know, like, if we can build our roster of people that really care about being a Gamecock, even if they come from another school and they land here and this becomes their home, like, let's do it. That's how we want to build the program. So we brought in 10 transfers. You can definitely come out this fall and get a preview of the team. We have 6 fall games. So that schedule will be coming out in the next few weeks. Those are exhibition games. We also have a ton of inter squads. We try to post those on social media or our website when we do inter squad. That means we play each other, little garnet and black action, through the week. All of those are open to the public. If you want to come out and see our new pitching staff, if you want to come out and see our new left side of the infield, because we need a new third baseman and shortstop because we lost Brooke Blankenship and Ella Chansey. We'd be more than happy to host you, have you. You can sit in the stands. We open the gates. It's free until the spring. So it'd be a great opportunity to get to know the new team. You're not going to the football games, which I will also be at about 9 or 10 recruits every weekend. That's why I need those earrings, Grace. I need those earrings for football games. But, you know, I love this program. You know, I was gifted the opportunity to play in this program as an alum, you know, years ago, and it means the world to me. I'm living my professional dream. I'm also living my personal dream. I would be remiss if I didn't mention, you know, baseball, softball is just in my family. As Andy mentioned, my husband, Robert Woodard, is the head baseball coach at Charlotte, and still is. And I get asked everywhere I go, so I'll go ahead and address this in the room. We do not live halfway on 77. I mean, there's nothing halfway on 77 if you've ever done that drive, which I can do in my sleep now. But we do have 2 residents. We have a house here and a house there. We kept our house in Charlotte because Robert still works there, and he's from there, and his family's there, and his parents are great. So, but yeah, we don't live in Blythewood or Chesterfield or Rock Hill, which everyone thinks that. I'm like, no, not quite. But yeah, baseball, softball's in our house, and it's kind of funny. We actually don't talk about it as much as you think we would, yeah, he's actually the winningest pitcher in North Carolina baseball history. So the battle of the Carolinas, you know, in our house has always been very strong. But he's definitely a big Gamecock softball supporter. You'll see him around with the gear and stuff. I'll just leave you with this. Like, for us, culture is everything. You have to be talented to play college softball at our level. So you have to be talented to be on our roster, to be a Gamecock softball player. But we prioritize people over everything. Culture is everything for us. We have a fantastic system of player development, recruiting, technology, game strategy, a system that meets all of our coaches and players as they walk through the doors of our program for the first time. Our system meets them where they are. Our system serves them. It's a vehicle for them to become better at whatever stage of life they're in. And the growth process is really fun, especially when you're sitting in my seat. But the system and the game, that's not always what's important. It's important that you put the right people in the team, in the locker room, that walk through the door. So I'll tell you what I tell my players all the time. You are the sum of the 5 people that you hang around all the time. So whoever you surround yourself with is essentially going to dictate a lot about your perspective, your mindset, your life, the decisions that you make. And I think that applies to all of us all the time. And so, you know, we try to create a team and a community and a culture that uplifts everyone around us. A lot of psychological safety within the walls of our program. You can be who you want and be grown into a fantastic person using our program as that vehicle for you. So, but I hope I explained a little bit about our program that maybe you did not know before. The goal is obviously repeat. Now there's a ton of expectation. So for this new team that's getting to campus this week and starting school next week, that'll be a fun journey to go on with them. It's just how to manage the expectation of success now, because everyone expects us to do the same thing plus some. And believe me, I'm a competitor. Like, that is my expectation as well. This program belongs in Oklahoma City, which is where our World Series is every year. And we're going to do everything in our power to get there so that you can all come to those games. So they're a lot of fun. But if you are interested in coming to watch us practice or play, the door is always open. If you can't get in touch with me, we have a director of operations, Carson Hanna. You're always able to get in touch with her, and she can always get in touch with me. Andy also has my phone number, so there you go. We also have the Diamond Club, which is a direct financial way to support the program. So if you're interested in supporting fantastic young female athletes. They are just stellar across the board, obviously academically with that success and on the field. Then you can call the Gamecock Club, you can get in touch with me or whoever, but there are direct ways to support our program day to day. We really appreciate that. But we probably have some questions, so I'd like to take any questions for anybody that maybe has some. I know we have a strong 1:30 cutoff, so.
Ashley, thank you for being here. This is a weird question, but I was thinking about it because you're a former pitcher. The mechanics are different than baseball. What's the frequency of injury for pitchers? And do you ever have a Tommy John surgery for a pitcher in softball?
Yes, we have had several TJ surgeries. It's not quite as common. The stress on the arm is very different, underhanded than overhanded, so the points of stress are just differently located. We have more labrum issues, I think, on our side than maybe baseball does. I know baseball has some of those too. But I've had several players that I've coached over the past decade, I would say, that have had Tommy John. It's just not quite as common. The pitching motion for us, people think softball pitchers underhanded can pitch as much as they'd like to, as many reps as possible, and unfortunately our youth model promotes that. That's not actually true. We need pitch counts. I'm a big advocate for that. They need smarter training at the youth level because injuries are rising at the youth level because they think softball pitchers can throw as much as they want. So we're trying to change that, from it typically starts with us and trickles down to the youth level, so we're trying to change that mindset. But a few TJs, a lot of labrums, unfortunately. But we were really injury-free this past year, which is a testament to our strength and wellness staff. Yeah.
What effect, especially with non-revenue sports in college, does NIL have on your recruiting?
Yeah, huge. So probably could spend another hour talking about this, but I'll keep it for a few minutes. So NIL, we are now moving into a space that I think 5 years ago that the NCAA really didn't envision NIL being. So for the past couple years, NIL has been a lot of pay for play, like it's donor dollars, a third-party collective. We have the Garnet Trust here with South Carolina. It's a third-party entity that ends up paying our players, which softball is heavy in, right? Some people don't think that, but we are heavily paying players. Nigel Kennedy, who ended up losing the national championship, we beat her twice here at Beckham in March. They were our bye weekend. She got paid $1.2 million to pitch at Texas Tech for 2 years. Wow. So the money is real, it is there, even in softball. We're moving out of that space with the House settlement that got passed, that went into effect July 1, into a revenue share. We are fortunate enough that here at South Carolina, softball does share in revenue. We are revenue generating here, and we do share in the revenue distribution. That was a Jeremiah Yanadi decision, and I'm a big fan of his. He's fantastic. We haven't had the opportunity to be around him. His vision for our department is stellar, and we cannot wait. But we do share in revenue in the system here. So, but on an NIL space, we're moving back into a commercial mindset that like Ari Brody, for example, can go out and get a local deal with a bank, with Firehouse Subs, with whoever. And that deal has to be approved by Deloitte in a clearinghouse called NIL Go. That is basically going to be evaluated for fair market value range of compensation for her status in this area. So it's either approved or it's not approved. I think right now we found out this morning actually that the average deal for any athlete across the board that's being approved right now is $3,000. You have your outliers like the Lenore Sellers, who's getting paid obviously a lot more, who will be approved for a lot more, but we've kind of moved out of an NIL donor dollar space into a rev share space and moved into our athletes being able to partner with businesses for a $3,000 deal. So in a world where we used to think that a dorm room and a scholarship is enough, I live in that world, but unfortunately I can't operate always like that because that is not our reality anymore. But we are trying to get our athletes out and partner with local businesses for marketing to, for them to have deals. So I hope that answered your question. Yes.
Actually, your enthusiasm is contagious. It's really exciting to hear about all this. Can you sum up in like 2 reasons why you win?
Because we were good.
People and culture. People and culture. I do think, probably 3 things. I do think when it comes to game strategy, I think my staff is the best in the country, so I do have to give them a lot of credit. They're not here, but tell them I said that. They're in the office working really hard. I do think that we play the game, we strategize and we scout and, opposing pitchers, I think we do that better than most people. But I think the people that we have, we're really picky in recruiting. We try to prioritize people that we think really fit into what we're trying to create. I want players, even if we get them from the transfer portal, I want players that want to be a Gamecock, that are from the area. You know, we brought Neely Landman from Cade, South Carolina. We brought Precious Frost from UGA back home from Irmo. So I think the culture and the people of knowing how special this place is and wanting to represent it elevates everything that we do in the program. So, yeah, I would say people, culture, game strategy. I think our facility is, in SEC softball, I think our facility is very average right now. And I don't mean that in a negative way towards the department at all. I bleed garnet and black. But, you know, we've got a lot of work to do when it comes to facilities. So bringing recruits on campus, we're not going to wow them with our facility. That's not going to be our avenue. Our avenue is connecting them with the community that are Gamecocks, connecting them to a community they want to be a part of, selling a vision of what we're going to be in 3 to 5 years from now when it comes to how much success we're going to have on the field. If that answers your question.
All right, last one.
Ashley, I was
Yes.
just curious, did you lose players to the portal as well?
We did. We lost 5 players to the portal. To be honest with you, one of those was, I'm really transparent, I probably share way too much than I'm supposed to, but safe here, right? One of those we were a little surprised about, which happens, you know, it's our world, it's our climate. So one that we probably did not want to lose, that we wanted to stay in the program and develop over the course of her career. She wanted something different, which I have a lot of respect for. And 4 that we probably expected to lose that had found great homes that can match their skill set, that they probably can get on the field every day, because it is really hard to get on the field every day here in the SEC. So, you know, typically, like I said, it's always about the team over ourselves. So if you can't, as a player, I'm really big on if you can't buy into your role authentically, you probably have to go somewhere else to find a place that you can have the role that you want to have if it's not here. Because it's never going to be about you, it's always about the Gamecocks. That's what they do with an alumni, right? Thank you so much for having me. I hope to see you all back home.
Thank you actually for being with us and taking time out of your day. David had to leave a little early today for a funeral, but I hope each of you have a wonderful week, and we're going to take out a song with the rest of you.
That's why they look around.
Hey, go Gamecock.
Hey, good luck, Dan. Thanks. Take care.
It's good seeing you, Dorothy. I'll see y'all next Monday.
Yeah.